This coming November will mark 6 years since Donald Trump was elected president back in 2016, and it's now also been 18 months since he left office in January of 2021. So that leaves us wondering exactly where we are right now in terms of Trump's return to power. While current news headlines seem to have a shocking or depressing story almost every day, and events around the world seem to be getting worse and worse, politically, we seem to be in the calm before the storm phase, or what I think of as the calm before the crazy phase. I say that because there are 6 key events that either are happening now or will occur over the next few months, and together they will fundamentally change the United States and put Trump firmly on the road back to the White House. These consequential events will not only divide this country even further than it is, but nations all around the world will look on in amazement at what is happening in the most powerful country on earth. Let's briefly go through what these 6 key events are. First, we have Trump's official announcement that he's a candidate in 2024. There has been much speculation that he would announce early, and in fact he could do so at almost any moment. But whenever he does announce, it will be an absolute political earthquake. The loyalty to Trump by most Republicans, and by nearly every single elected official on the right, cannot be overstated. In conjunction with this astounding loyalty, Trump is basically worshipped by many everyday Americans as he is perceived to be the literal savior of America. When Trump finally announces his candidacy, he will be the Republican nominee in 2024. It's his for the taking if he wants it, which he certainly does. And although it's hard for many to understand, Trump is beloved and even idolized by tens of millions of Americans. Second, Biden's struggles continue to make Trump seem like a better alternative to many Americans. Whether it's inflation or a recession or trouble with Russia, China, or anywhere else, Biden is hated by the right, while the left wants anyone but Biden to run in 2024. The Biden administration has certainly had to deal with many difficult problems, both domestically and abroad, since he took office, but there is also an undeniable perceived weakness or incompetence to much of what they do. And there's simply no reason to think that this perception of weakness will change anytime soon, as world events are getting more challenging by the day, all the while Trump himself stands in the shadows as the strongman so many want to see rule America. Third, the looming Republican wipeout of Democrats in November. It's no longer a question of whether the Republicans will beat the Democrats in November. It's now a question of by how much, and even if it will be a complete disaster for the left. Democrats are, as per usual, their own worst enemies in this, as they continually embrace far-left policies that simply do not resonate with the millions of Americans who are politically more moderate. Toss in the fact that midterm elections normally hurt the president's political party, and that Biden currently has an extraordinarily low approval rating, and all signs point to a shocking wipeout of the Democrats this November. Fourth, Trump's endorsement of 2020 election deniers and QAnon advocates. As should be obvious, Trump's endorsements have not been based on a candidate's qualifications, but rather as to whether they are loyal to him and agree with his claim that the 2020 election was stolen. Since many of these type of candidates will win their races, this will result in a stunning increase in these type of candidates in Congress. State and local races also have a number of QAnon and election deniers running, with many being the favored in their races. And lest we forget how incompetent the left is, the Democrats are promoting many of these pro-QAnon candidates in their primary over the more traditional Republicans, thinking that they will be the easier opponent. As has often been said, be careful what you wish for. Fifth, the rise of dark MAGA. If you haven't heard of this term before, you won't forget it anytime soon. Dark MAGA is a burgeoning online movement that not only seeks Trump's return to power, but wants him to take extreme vengeance on his enemies when he does. This is beginning to be openly embraced by some politicians, as Marjorie Taylor Greene has posted images with the dark MAGA aesthetic, and a couple of months back it was specifically called for by Madison Cawthorn on Instagram after his primary loss. Dark MAGA imagery portrays Trump in authoritarian, dystopian, or Terminator-like imagery, usually with a black and red color scheme and blue or red lasers coming out of his eyes. The ultimate purpose of Dark MAGA is for Trump to literally destroy his enemies. Which brings us to the sixth key event to watch for: Trump's continuing and increasing rhetoric to portray anyone who opposes him as not just wrong, not just bad for the country, but actually the embodiment of evil. What makes Trump's rhetoric so dangerous is that he's speaking those words to a crowd that absolutely believes that this is a war of good versus evil, and that those who oppose Trump are on the side of evil and must be destroyed. Of course, Trump knows full well that his base will take his words to heart and rise up against all who oppose him, because, once again, those who oppose Trump are evil, and they must pay the ultimate price for their evil. There is a tendency to think of the strong delusion as simply describing those who have been given over to believing in the wrong things and who follow the Antichrist down the road to perdition. But it is much more than this. It is not only about how many people who follow the Antichrist will be deluded in their beliefs, but how they will be deluded into acting on their beliefs as they seek to take vengeance on behalf of their golden idol, the Antichrist. And indeed, there may not be a better example of how the strong delusion is currently on display than the millions of Christians who not only stand 100% behind Trump, but view anyone who opposes him as an evil person who must be destroyed. The time is coming soon when those deluded Christians, the ones who stand unquestionably with Trump, will take action to seek revenge in Trump's name, and they will be absolutely certain that they are serving God. Thank you for watching, and if you care to leave a comment, please do. As always, kindly be respectful in any comment you leave, especially towards those with whom you disagree. I'll talk to you guys soon.